All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, Greg, for offering this training and this kind of introduction into a career in Salesforce. I think it's going to be very insightful to the participants as well as myself. So I'm excited to hear what you have for us.
Hopefully everyone can hear me, and excited to have everybody on the call today on this chat about Salesforce. So I hope we can stay high level enough to get you a good understanding of what Salesforce is as a company, what opportunities they provide in different ecosystems, different careers, everything like that. And then talk tactical at the end about some steps that you can take if you're interested in getting into a Salesforce career, and ways that you can do it right here in your own community. So we will start off right off the bat with just a little bit of an overview of what Salesforce does. We will look at the original, just what is Salesforce, who is the company, what do they do, and then we'll dive in from there. So as you can see on my screen, Salesforce is a global company. If we wanted to look at their offices, they have offices all around the world. They have become a worldwide leader in sales technology in what they call customer relationship management, or CRM. So they came about a little over 10 years ago, and they really disrupted the space in offering a customer-friendly solution to CRM. And the best thing about Salesforce is that they can be, their system can be manipulated to use in any industry that you're in, whether it's technology, finance, healthcare, marketing, business to customer, business to business sales, anything like that. And so what they've done a really good job at is making it so that you, as a consumer, as an admin of Salesforce, you can come in and manipulate the program and the database and the CRM to do whatever you need it to do for your company. They have some of the biggest companies in the world, like you see on their homepage, Schneider Electric, helping build their product roadmap and helping us understand what we can do with this. You can see that they're using artificial intelligence, other apps that integrate into Salesforce to enhance the data set and to really make it your own. And so what that does is it opens up opportunity. So there are 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Salesforce today, and they are using it in completely different ways. And so as Salesforce becomes more prevalent in those companies, so do job opportunities with Salesforce careers. So people that are proficient in Salesforce. So we'll look through that a little bit today. I want to call out that one thing that you'll see here is Salesforce calls their community their Ohana, their family, and it's a really big push for Salesforce. You'll see them. They are wanting to welcome you in and make sure that you have all the tools necessary to be successful in your life and in your career, and they're here to provide that for you. And so through my own experience, I have found that exact same thing. I started out in sales. I learned Salesforce as a user, and then as I grew and grew and grew in that knowledge, I actually became a sales leader that was able to manage Salesforce myself. And that's opened up a lot of opportunities for me as well. So I want to switch over here to our Salesforce careers page. So as I go in walking through this, I know that we don't have a ton of people on the call, so I want to be very direct to the attendees that are here and talk about the things that are most important to them. So if you have questions, comments, anything, throw them into the chat, and Ethan and Jacob will make sure that I don't miss them, and really making sure that we cover all of the questions that you have about Salesforce and the career opportunities that present yourselves there. So so we'll start off just with a basic rundown, like I said, 3.3 million jobs are being created right now in the Salesforce ecosystem. Think about all the people that don't have jobs right now. 3.3 million jobs being created. And then 2 of the top 10 best jobs, according to Glassdoor, are in Salesforce. So one of the highest tech skill paying jobs in the world. And the job growth rate is faster than almost any other industry in the world. And so the good news for you is that, you know, even though this is a really lucrative job, it's a very easy entry job. Just in the state of Utah, I looked today and I found 12 open Salesforce admin roles right now. People, companies that are hiring, 12 different companies right now just in Utah and Salt Lake County. So the job need is there too, which is a kind of a double whammy, that it's lucrative, it's easy to get into, and there's available jobs in that system. So the route that you go with Salesforce is very much determined on what you want to do, right? Do you want to just manage a software? Do you have a sales background that you want to enhance your skill in sales? If you're a coder, if you know how to do web development, do you want to increase your paycheck and learn a new system to develop on? On the screen here are just a few of the career paths that you can take with Salesforce knowledge. So obviously the one that's most prevalent, most common, is the Salesforce administrator role. And we'll dive in deeper to all of these as we go. But others, like I said, sales managers use Salesforce in reporting and dashboards analytics on a daily basis. Salesforce developer, that's who everybody here relies on to build the back end of the system and make sure that some of it is hard coded to make it faster and more efficient. Marketing managers will use Salesforce to pull out marketing data and analytics. Business analysts will use Salesforce because if you come in to analyze a business and help consult with them, oftentimes the answer is a solution like Salesforce. So if you know how to use it, you can recommend it, you can integrate it into a company's infrastructure. And then a Salesforce technical architect, you see the big guy right here. These are people that understand not just Salesforce, but they understand other systems that Salesforce will integrate with all around the company's infrastructure. Salesforce integrates with payment systems, with ERPs, it integrates with marketing automation systems, with sales automation systems, with contract automation systems. So literally, if you can come in and architect an entire company to run on Salesforce, that is this guy, the Salesforce technical architect. So a lot of different career paths that people can take. So I'll pause there. A question here from Conrad that says, I'm very junior role in helping administer Salesforce within our company, particularly help with data governance and reporting. Done some research within Salesforce. I'd love to be able to get into business platform architecture. And how would we best find roles that could introduce and help me gain more skills in that area? It's a perfect segue into kind of the next thing that I want to talk about is the trailhead. And so Conrad, the nice thing about that is if you want to learn how to be any of these things, so, you know, the Salesforce architect, or, you know, if you're looking into becoming more of a business platform architect, you can click in on Trailhead, which is a Salesforce training website, and you can actually go through training courses. You know, right here, you would basically just click Let Trailhead Guide You, and it will take you into a system that will walk you through training mechanisms to get you into that business analyst mode. Most of the time with any of these certifications, the first one is a Salesforce administrator certification. So Connor, if you know Salesforce, you're helping do the administrator side and you haven't gotten the actual certification, I would start there. So that is going to help other companies, other systems, other programs know that you have a basic knowledge of Salesforce and that you have a competency that will allow you to build on that foundation into other areas. So that would be the first place that I would look is the Salesforce admin certification. And then you can continually bump up on your certifications. You can then try for the Salesforce architect certification, which will help you become more of a big picture thinker. Companies that use that. So the Salesforce architect is not usually found in your average business. There are some that use Salesforce in a way that they need a Salesforce architect, but where a Salesforce architect will usually find their sweet spot is in an agency consulting other companies how to use Salesforce. There's companies in Utah like Simplus, Eide Bailey. There's a few others that will be Salesforce consultants. And so you would come in and look at a company, look at the big picture, and figure out exactly how they should leverage Salesforce to get the most out of it, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answers your question about that specific role. And we can dive in a little bit deeper to that as well. But I want to spend some time on the Salesforce administrator side, just because that's the most common. If you're getting your foot in the door with Salesforce, this is where you come in and make an impact. The nice thing about being a Salesforce administrator is it's all point and click. You don't need to know code. You don't need to have a technical background. Literally, you just have to go through and learn the system and learn the process. And the way that you do that, is through Trailhead, as well as there's opportunities to grow in knowledge from other Salesforce admins and from classes and boot camps. And so, one of the things that I do with my company is provide a Salesforce boot camp that will help people prepare to get certified as a Salesforce administrator. It's something that we've partnered with UVU on and really trying to get the word out that there's these very, very good jobs out there that take very small amounts of very targeted training to be qualified for, and then you can get your foot into a door of a career that will just continue to grow and grow and grow and be more and more beneficial for you and your family. So as you look here, you can see a little bit here, bringing innovation and life to a platform, closing gaps in the business. Again, average US salary is $95,000 a year for a Salesforce administrator. 4,670 jobs in the last 12 months as a Salesforce admin. And the best part about that is 40% of those. So, almost, do my math right, almost 2,500 jobs that are available as entry-level Salesforce admins in the US. And so that's very, very basic training, get your foot in the door, grow from there, and get up to that $95,000 average salary. So that's the exciting part. One of the things I want to share with you. So a lot of the Salesforce admins from Utah got together with Salesforce recently, and they created a video. I guess recently, it's been a few years, but they created a video just to kind of talk about the impact that they have on a business and the way that sales leaders and leadership of companies look at Salesforce admins. So I want to go ahead and play you this video and let you kind of just see the impact they're having and the way that they take their job and what they see of it. So let me see if I can do this to where it will actually show up here. Okay, we got that.
My experience as a Salesforce administrator has really been one of both personal and professional growth.
I love being a Salesforce administrator. I get to build out new things, basically save the world for our teams.
My experience so far, I think the word I would use would be empowering. The system is really designed for you to be able to customize and develop.
One of the great things about the Salesforce platform is, as a Salesforce administrator, I can take change that the business needs, take their processes, I can implement them using click versus code.
I quickly fell in love with the possibilities of it. I fell in love with the fact that I could affect things. I could create reports that my boss was looking for.
The empowerment I get as an administrator comes from being able to sit down and work with the end users to find out what their true processes are, and then taking my knowledge and experience with the Salesforce platform and going back and designing a solution that's going to make their job easier and more accurate.
I started as kind of a secretary, as a sales and marketing administrator, and now I'm helping our key executives make very important business decisions on a daily basis. So it's really gratifying, and I've grown a lot more in this position than I think I could have in any other position.
There's so much within the success community and the user group, so much information and so many people to connect with that you can really gain so much from those experiences.
Get to know the people in your Salesforce community. Find a few other admins, so that way you can build up that, that knowledge base.
It's boosted my confidence as a woman and where I can go and where I can take it, and my possibilities now I know are endless. It's been amazing, and it's been a great journey.
All right. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of the impact and the role that people can play in their company as Salesforce admins. And so that was a kind of a really, if you see in there, Jamie Parsons, she's actually the person that taught me how to use Salesforce as a sales rep. She was the Salesforce admin for one of the companies that I worked at, now it's been 12 years ago. And that's where I started to learn Salesforce. And it's all come kind of full circle to where now I'm a Salesforce admin. I teach other people how to become Salesforce admins, because it's just, for me, it's about giving back into a career that is so rewarding and lucrative and has so many different offshoots that you can take whatever your personal desires and put them into a business that you love and grow it. And so that's where we start with the Salesforce admin. Again, this is something that every other one of these roles kind of piggybacks on this foundation. And so it's a good system and knowledge to have, just the general admin. So as we go through some of these other career paths, some of them might speak to you more than others, but please, let me know what speaks to you, what is of value to you, and everything like that. So, for the Salesforce developer, in a company, you'll have front-end web developers, you'll have back-end web developers, and they're all proficient in a certain code, whether it's JavaScript or Python or Ruby, Ruby on Rails, Node, React, some type of coding structure. The same is available for Salesforce. So these coders, they can take their knowledge of Salesforce and learn the code that Salesforce is built on, which is Apex code, very similar to PHP or JavaScript. And they can come in and code out the inefficiencies of Salesforce. So you can come in as a Salesforce developer, and you can create systems that don't rely on a business automation. It's just happening natively in the code, and it creates very fast moving CRM, and it gets rid of a lot of the lag in a system that has a lot of business operations and coding in it. So this is something that's in very high demand. It's a very targeted skill. It's a very targeted language. And so Salesforce developers, usually a larger company will have 2 or 3 Salesforce developers on staff, and they're just constantly improving the process in the code, making sure that all of the systems created by the admins are working properly on the back end. It's in high demand. As you can see, 10,000 jobs in the last 12 months, well above six-figure salaries for these coders, these developers. This is an advanced level. So this is something that an admin will take, and if they have a coding background or a desire to get into coding, then they will transition into a Salesforce developer role. Or if you're already a web developer, you would take the Salesforce admin course to become familiar with Salesforce and then learn the code to go along with it. So it's kind of a piggyback role, but $125 on average. I will tell you, in a Salesforce driven organization, the Salesforce developer will usually be able to name their price. This is the role that you absolutely cannot deal without if you're trying to build a large infrastructure as a Salesforce organization. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well. We've talked about the Salesforce architect. We'll click into that and just kind of go over that a little bit. This is a lot of the time someone that's thinking big picture, trying to coordinate the entire company within a Salesforce ecosystem. And a lot of the time it is someone that is not in the company. It is a business advisor, a consultant, something to that nature, where you're coming into a company and fixing problems that they might not be able to see, and coordinating departments and eliminating data silos. So that's where a Salesforce architect will come in. Obviously, even higher, pay, plenty of job opportunities. The growth rate is huge in this industry. Definitely not an entry-level job. But the reason this growth rate is so big is more and more companies start to use Salesforce, and they start to rely on their admins, and their admins go and go and go, and they get them so far, and then the admin can't go any further, because the next step is something that needs a lot more integration and a lot more consulting. And so a Salesforce architect is someone that can come in and map out the entire process. They can connect 7 different departments in Salesforce with 15 different apps integrated and platforms integrated into it. And Salesforce becomes the hub for the entire business to run on. Even when someone's using a different system, it's integrating into Salesforce, and it's pulling data from Salesforce, putting it into that system, pulling it into their system. And so this is something that, as Salesforce systems within a company get more and more complicated, the need for a Salesforce architect increases. And so this is a role that I just talked to a gentleman today that started out as a sales rep, became a sales manager, went into operations, started his own company doing this, because he had gone through so many implementations within his own company. People started asking him, hey, how do you do this in Salesforce? What do you do there? That he decided to just start his own company and start consulting other companies how to use Salesforce. And that all happened within 5 years. So he went from sales rep to owning his own company and teaching other people how to use Salesforce within 5 years. So on that same note is a business analyst. So this is something that if you are going to go and consult for companies on how to use Salesforce, or you're going to be within your own company being a business analyst, you would need this type of certification, because you need to, Salesforce wants to make sure you know what you're talking about before you start to go tell other people how to use their system. So they're very aware of making sure that the analysts and business strategy leaders are certified. And the way that a business analyst uses Salesforce is you are taking the data that's there. You're taking financial data, sales data, marketing data, customer data, and you are creating this story with the data that will help the company succeed. So you're coming in, business analysts will most often have experience in other softwares, Excel, Tableau, Domo, other business intelligence and business information platforms that will integrate into Salesforce. They'll usually be proficient in those as well. and they come in to make Salesforce part of a single data set. You know, might be pulling data from Salesforce, Excel, Jira, NetSuite, everything into one system, and this analyst is able to analyze that data and tell a story with it. Marketing careers. So this is actually a really common theme. Salesforce integrates with marketing automation systems. They actually own, they acquired a marketing automation company called Pardot, and now that's native part of the Salesforce platform, but they also integrate with other marketing automation systems. So more and more, a marketer needs to know how to run Salesforce and integrate it with his or her marketing system, because marketing leads turn into sales leads, which go into Salesforce, which get worked in Salesforce, but the data needs to go back to the marketing system. So as a customer relationship management system, marketers need to be able to manipulate that data and be able to extract it to know where they should be putting their money, what lead sources are working most effectively, what campaigns were most successful. Salesforce is able to track campaign data, and a marketing professional that knows how to use Salesforce can really hone in on the exact science of their job of marketing automation and marketing operations, and make sure that the old saying of, 50% of your marketing budget is wasted, you just don't know which 50%. Marketers that use Salesforce are able to hone in on what's most effective and ruin that misnomer there. So marketing careers within Salesforce are really prevalent. Probably the most common career that deals with Salesforce is sales. Sales careers are lived in Salesforce. Like I mentioned, 90% of the Fortune 500 companies use Salesforce as their CRM. So all of their sales reps are logging their calls, marking their emails, keeping track of their customers within the Salesforce platform. I can attest from personal experience that the sales reps that knew how to use Salesforce were always more on top of their sales game than the sales reps that didn't. They might not have been better sales reps. They might not have hit their numbers more, but the ones that knew how to use Salesforce knew what they needed to do to be successful. They knew who their customers were, and they were able to have a better grasp on what they needed to do for the company. And so Salesforce as a sales career can be very efficient and very, very helpful in your sales success, because you learn how to automate processes to save you time, to allow you to do more things in a normal sales cycle. And like we've mentioned, almost every sales tool in the world integrates with Salesforce, because they know if they don't, then companies won't use them. That's how prevalent Salesforce is. And you can see kind of a theme here of 5-figure job amounts in sales, 32% growth rate, because the way that companies get more revenue is by increasing their sales floor and increasing their staff. So after sales careers, again, Salesforce consultant, you can see there's many paths to that consultant route, because Salesforce is interesting in the fact that they hire, or they sign up a company, but Salesforce doesn't have as active of a customer service arm as most of your other software companies. They rely on consultants and implementation partners to make sure that their clients are successful inside their ecosystem. Part of that is just because they have so many clients that it would be hard for them to treat them the way they want to be treated. So they engage partners to be Salesforce consultants to make sure that things are operating smoothly, the implementations get worked out, and that companies understand how to be most effective within Salesforce. So a Salesforce consultant, on average, about the same as an admin. There's lots of jobs there. And with this one, a sales consultant can handle multiple clients. So it's not as big of a one-to-one relationship where every company that uses Salesforce needs an admin. Not every company that uses Salesforce needs a consultant, and that consultant can handle multiple companies. So the growth rate is a little bit smaller, but if you desire to get into this, there's definitely opportunities. As part of the company that I work with, I do Salesforce consulting. I will tell you right now, with the situation with COVID and people working from home, people reducing their staffs, my requests for Salesforce consulting have increased at least twofold in the last 2 months because of the need for someone to come in and help where they don't have a regular admin anymore. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And the last career that we'll highlight here is a service career. So service career meaning, customer service, customer satisfaction, making sure that your company's clients are happy. And that is the essence of why Salesforce exists. It comes full circle from before you're a customer and the sales team works your contact in Salesforce, all the way to when you sign up, you're implemented by a Salesforce consultant. And then afterward, you have a service agent or a customer service rep that is responsible for maintaining that relationship. They'll track everything within Salesforce. They'll make sure that you are using their software correctly. I call them the quarterback. They make sure that all of the other players are in place to be successful for you and for your company. So if you like that side of business, you don't want to be on the front lines making sales, but you want to take care of people. You want to be a customer service rep. Learning Salesforce will help you get ahead because that's what you're going to be using at your company to maintain your clients. And as you're able to create automations that make sure clients are aware of certain products and certain features, that's going to make your job easier. It's going to make your boss's job easier. And knowing Salesforce is going to help you gain leverage and notoriety within your company. So those are, the 8 or so career paths that are very common within Salesforce as a career. And so I'm happy to kind of dive in deeper, answer any other questions about those. But the thing that I will say just in general about Salesforce careers is the speed at which this industry is growing and the ease of entry into these jobs makes me preach this from the rooftops, that if I were to take a college student and they asked me what is the one skill that I could get that I could always fall back on, no matter what the economy, no matter what the situation, no matter where I lived, to provide for my family, the first thing that I would point them to is Salesforce. There's so many career opportunities at an entry level and so much growth potential once you're past that entry level that Salesforce to me is a no-brainer. It's today's world's mechanic or today's world's carpenter, something that you can just do that's a skill that you don't have to go and get a master's degree or a doctorate degree to be successful. Salesforce is that equivalent where every company in the world is going to need a Salesforce administrator if they want to use Salesforce. And you can't just turn it on and have it work for you. You need that administrator to be able to come in and set it up and make sure it's running smoothly, just like you need an electrician, just like you need a plumber, just like you need a mechanic. In case something breaks, you're not just sitting there going, well, I don't know how to do that. And so the system just fails. And that's where Salesforce is such a stable and lucrative career to be able to learn as a student and as a professional in the future. So question from Renee, what does the day-to-day of a Salesforce admin look like? That's a really good question. And so typical Salesforce admin, and this will vary by company. You'll have different roles if you're more proficient in sales or marketing or the data set. But a typical day for Salesforce admin is you're going to come in. You will normally have some type of data validation or data entry. So whether it's checking the day's sales leads from before and making sure that those have been divvied out correctly, checking the business automation or the process flow within the system, making sure that any tickets, so, for example, user gets locked out of their Salesforce instance, you can reset a password. Those are kind of just like the general things. The fun stuff is when you're in a meeting and, a sales leader says, hey, our sales reps are spending too much time logging their notes in Salesforce, and it's making it so that the system's not usable. As a Salesforce administrator, you can say, okay, we have the ability to actually log notes automatically using artificial intelligence through the Einstein app in Salesforce. So a sales rep can literally pull up on their phone, open a contact, and it will log the meeting notes for them from the call they just had. It will set a next step based on the conversation they had, add an opportunity because they talked about pricing, and it'll put in the dollar amount that they spoke about. Then all the sales rep has to do is mark the probability of it, the status, and hit go. And you go back to the sales leader and say, I just saved your sales reps 30% of their time today. You created the ability for a sales rep to do 30% more. On a larger scale, you're taking the data from the platform, you're creating reports. So, the finance leader comes to you and says, I need to understand what our margin was on, these 3 products in the last 30 days. You go into Salesforce and you can look and see if that data is in there. You can pull a report, you can drive that, you can put it right in front of your executive's hands and say, here's the answer to your questions. Now, if you've ever been in a business environment, the trend of it's kind of a catchphrase of data-driven decisions. No more are the CEOs and the leaders of the company sitting in a boardroom and thinking, I'm a professional, I know what I'm doing, we're going to do this. Every day in the corporations that I work in, the leaders say, what does the data say? What does the CRM say? What does our data say we should do before they act? The Salesforce admin is the gatekeeper to that data. So you are sitting there, you're not waiting, but you are proactively finding the data points that will help make the company make better decisions. And you're providing that not just in a data set, but you're able to tell the story of this data. You're able to show what I call the customer journey. Our customers go from a lead to an opportunity to an account that's sold to a renewal. And here's what they're experiencing. You can see the data of this many customers made it to this point, but they didn't keep going. Why is that? Look at the data set and explain, we are not following up with our customers for 90 days after they sign up, and they're all canceling by then. So let's implement an automation that sends a couple emails during that first 90 days, and let's track and see if that does better. Now you come back to the table with data, and you are the gatekeeper of that data because you're the one that knows how to run the system. I know most of these sales leaders that I know have become proficient in Salesforce, because if they're not proficient in Salesforce, then they get passed up by someone else that is, because they have better insights. And so they're coming to get certified and get knowledge about that. So it's a great question. So Jasmine asked, is this a national certification? So I'll answer that question just off the bat. So yes, so Salesforce, the only way to become certified in Salesforce is through taking a Salesforce certification exam. That exam is proctored by someone that Salesforce has hired out. So either online or in their actual testing centers, you go and take the exam, and once you pass, you receive a Salesforce Administrator certification. Salesforce has 50 plus different certifications you can get. The Salesforce Admin 201 is what they call it, is their base level certification. Then you can get another one. Then you can get another one. I have a friend that has 30 certifications at Salesforce. He's basically the Michael Jordan of Salesforce. He knows everything that you could do with it, and he's been certified in a lot of those. But once you get certified, you simply have to take a maintenance course once a year that's 5 questions or so that helps you keep up with the updated releases, because Salesforce changes their platform every 4 months. They add new features, and they want to make sure their admins are knowledgeable about that. So the hard part, Jasmine, about the certification is that it's pretty intense. And someone that just goes in, with, hey, I was a sales rep, I know Salesforce, I'm going to go get certified. They're going to be awakened to the back end of security and user management and data compliance. And like Conrad said, governance and reporting are pretty big in Salesforce. And so that's where companies like mine, World Tech Academy, will come in and help you learn what's needed to pass a certification. They'll prep you for it almost like a boot camp. And then you go and take that certification with Salesforce and you pass it, and you get it, and you get it done a lot faster than if you just kind of tried to learn on your own through the Trailhead program. So that's why my company exists, because it's really hard to do it on your own. So we provide step-by-step guidance into getting certified and qualified for those exams. But yes, it is national, and you can use it internationally, actually. So anywhere that you want, you would be certified as a Salesforce admin. So that brings us to that point where, I could go on for a long time about the benefits of a Salesforce career, but I think we've covered the basics, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that are available, or point you in the direction of resources and anything that you would need to get into that Salesforce career that you want. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions. If not, maybe Ethan will tell us a few jokes, or we can cut it off short. So either way.
I should have been looking up Salesforce jokes this whole time. No, I think this is great. And I am actually in that spot where I'm just trying to figure out what I should do career-wise. So this was a huge help to me, so I appreciate that. I've just barely been touching the surface of Salesforce, just recently this month, actually. And I can see the potential and opportunities that you were talking about. I think it's a great opportunity to it's a really one of those really good skills that should be a staple on all resumes.
It's coming more and more common on a lot of, especially the industry I work in sales. Most sales people are trying to get certified or at least proficient in Salesforce, because they're going to have to use it every day anyway. And
right.
So,
right.
like you said, it's a bolsters your resume.
It's the new Microsoft Excel.
Definitely. I can tell you, when I hire for my company, I work as well in the tech industry. If someone is a certified Salesforce administrator on the resume, exactly like Ethan said, if someone puts Microsoft Office on the resume, I question that, because I think that's like email. Like, I can send an email. That's kind of the proficiency level there. But if someone is certified in Salesforce, I'm not going to have to babysit that person. They know what they're doing, and that's a big thing for me, because, nobody wants to be hovering over their employees' back, wondering if they know how to do things. So yeah, you hit a good point there.
It looks like we have a couple more questions.
So I see, I'll tackle Renee's first. If I don't have a background in sales, would this still be a good fit for me? Actually, yes. So when I say the sales career is most prevalent, it's because a lot of the users of Salesforce are in sales because it's a sales database. But if you're looking to get into a career with Salesforce, I would say a majority of people are not from a sales background that are administrators. Because if I want to be in sales, I'm going to be in sales. I'm going to go make, I'm going to try to make a lot of money. I'm going to go live the sales lifestyle that people talk about. A lot of Salesforce administrators are people that were in sales or just had no desire to be in sales, but they still want to be in that department or that realm in a company, but they don't want to have that crushing weight of hitting their quarterly number, and you can't go visit your friends because you're making phone calls at the end of the quarter. That's what this role is for. It's for people that don't want the pressure of sales, but still want to be involved in the revenue aspect of a business. And there's a huge role for them. You enable the sales team, you enable the customer success team to do their job, and they rely on you more than anything. And so being, not having a background in sales would not limit you at all to being a Salesforce administrator or to any of the careers that we talked about as architects and marketing and Salesforce consultants. So that's a really great question, Renee. And then Jacob asked for links for more resources would be great. And that's definitely, I totally agree with you. The nice thing about Salesforce is they have one of the biggest help ecosystems in the world. If you go to Trailhead, right here, trailhead.salesforce.com, this is one big learning path. And so I'm not logged in here. Let's see if I can log in. You should never do this. We'll see if it breaks on me. Trailhead.salesforce.com, you can sign up, even if you're not in Salesforce, you can sign up for a Salesforce account and a Trailhead account, and you can actually go in and learn. You can take badges and courses, you can get credentials, and you can gain points. And this is awesome. When I teach people how to use Salesforce, we actually sign them up for Trailhead, and they start to do this as part of the class. Because if you go into a job interview with someone that knows Salesforce, and you can say, hey, I've got 20 badges and 15,000 points on Trailhead, and you can walk through the skills that you've learned, that's proficiency. Because you have to go through, each one of these takes 20 or 30 minutes. So you can see, Salesforce admin, you can see the skills that I have. You can see what badges that I've created or that I've been through. Public speaking skill. Hopefully I didn't bomb this one, right, Ethan? You can set your details. There you go. I appreciate it. But this also validates your proficiency. So if I were to give you any links, Jacob, it would just be to go to, and I can put that in. If I put it in here, it's just www.trailblazer.salesforce.com, and you can connect an account. There are so many links to success communities. I won't say this to everybody, but one of the nice things about Salesforce is the success community, the Trailblazer community, because you can get help, get answers. If your boss comes to you and asks a question that you don't know, it's as simple as you Google it. How do I do this in Salesforce? And there will be, it's not always an easy answer, but there will be people that have already asked and answered that question, and you can go and find it and learn on your own. So the learning never stops. You're always learning new things, new ways to do things that are more efficient than you've done them in the past. And so that's the biggest thing that you'd be able to do is you learn with Salesforce, you grow with it. And like Ethan said, it's not so shabby if you can come into a a college graduate and say, hey, you want to make $90,000 a year? Well, there's an easy path to Salesforce administrator right here, in your hometown. So, yeah, it's something that I advocate tremendously for.
Thank you, Greg. I like that you went over the badges. We actually have kind of an unofficial goal going around in our department to like every month make sure we check off some of these badges. I admit I haven't been as devoted to it as I now know that I should be. But I think even that is just a great start. If your company already has Salesforce implemented, and you're not so sure, well, you can at least go and get some of those badges. And I think even, like you said, even having some of those to, when you show up at a job interview, is a way to prove what you know on Salesforce. I think that's awesome.
And, I think that the Salesforce community is always willing to help you as well. And so, for me, I do more consulting. I don't have to come in and do a ton of the badges and like the pathways to go there. And so, but you'll see some people that, I'll tell you, like hundreds and hundreds of badges and millions of points in here. And the cool thing is Salesforce does it'll be remote this year, but they do a company user event every year called Dreamforce, where they literally have hundreds of thousands of attendees. They close down 2 city blocks in downtown San Francisco, and the conference is outdoors. It's in 10 different buildings. They can't hold it. They have entire hotels that are dedicated to this, movie theaters that shut down for weeks so they can do Salesforce presentations. And they recognize these guys that have just crushed it in their Salesforce learning and in their careers. They put them up on stage, they cheer for them. And really, this is a community that is accepting of everyone. Anyone that wants to contribute and wants to have a career in Salesforce, there is an avenue for you. It's just about picking the one that will be most fulfilling for you.
And real quick, this is a question coming from myself, Greg. What are the I know Renee kind of already asked this question about what's the day-to-day like for a Salesforce admin. What's kind of the atmosphere for these different types of Salesforce positions? I know I've heard of a couple that you can work remotely from home, and I know that can also be a huge incentive to some people as well. So maybe if you could cover that.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Ethan. So the Salesforce, everything's in the cloud in Salesforce, and so depending on your company, that's the only thing that would keep you from working from home or in an office or some crazy virus that takes over the world. Everyone in my company is remote right now. I haven't had an in-person meeting in 4 months, and nothing has stopped. Salesforce is actually the glue that is keeping our company together, because that's the only place where everyone has access. Every department has 2 or 3 softwares that just they use for some other random thing, but everyone in our company uses Salesforce. And so now that we're remote, Salesforce is even more important for everybody, because it's absolutely necessary in order to get to the data that we need. And if we didn't have Salesforce, we would be so lost. And so working remotely is definitely a possibility. It's actually pretty common. A lot of Salesforce admins work, maybe 1 or 2 days a week in the office, and they work remotely the rest of the time. But on top of that, the thing that I like about Salesforce the most is the ability to be a consultant. So any Salesforce admin, if your job allows it or whatever you want to do, becoming a consultant in Salesforce is very easy. There are websites that you can literally just post your profile and say that you're a certified Salesforce admin, and you can see all of the companies across the country that need a small project done. They need to upload a lead list, or they need a sales process created that's maybe an hour-long job, but they don't have anyone to do it. You can jump in and help them finish that on your own time, and then they pay you for it. And so they don't want to hire a full-time admin, but they need someone to finish that job. And so there's so many opportunities to work in a corporation, work remotely, work for yourself as a freelancer. Again, Salesforce is, it's honestly whatever you want to make of it. And it's so empowering to be able to control your career path and your career in whatever way you want.
That's awesome. Thank you for clarifying on that. If there are no other questions, we're right on the dot of 5 o'clock. Thank you again, Greg, for going over this webinar for us. It's been very informative for myself, and I'm sure some of the attendees have really appreciated it as well. And thank you to everyone who has attended and asked questions. Thank you, Jacob, for setting up this webinar as well. And I guess we'll call it a wrap. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Ethan. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to email me any questions or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and happy to help you with anything you need in your Salesforce career.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
You too.